You watch 100 Mile Drive, and today I have one of the best-selling EVs on the planet, and that is a 2023 Tesla Model 3 Base or Standard Range Plus, basically a rear-wheel drive model with 58 kilowatt battery and 270 miles of range. And this is a dynamic drive. Hey, listen, most people are right now pre-ordering this car online, the same exact option, the white exterior, black interior, and these aero wheels, but they have no idea how does this car feel to drive. And this is the whole concept of my channel, where I say before you buy a car, sign that contract, you need to drive it for at least 50 to 100 miles on city streets, highway, and twisty roads to be able to answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel is how does it feel to drive? Now let's get into this review. If this is the first time you're watching this channel, and if you like this video, then go ahead and hit the like button. Let's get to 1,000 likes, and I'll bring more Teslas on the channel to do real world reviews. And also subscribe to this channel. Help me get to my first 1,000 subscribers. This will give me more motivation to bring content like this to you guys. And now let me do a quick walk around of the Tesla, hopping inside, do a quick interior quality check, and we'll take it for a spin. Let's go. All right, and now let's do a quick walk around of the 2023 Model 3 rear-wheel drive version. This is the most base model with the white exterior and black interior, and these aero wheels, which look kind of nice actually on this base model. This is exactly how I would buy this car. Now, one thing I'm happy to report that the 2023 model looks kind of nice in terms of the exterior build quality. I didn't find any large panel gaps. I'm not a professional in this, but whatever I could see with my eyes, if I'm going to pick up this car from a delivery point, I certainly wouldn't find any flaws in it, like major flaws, and I would go ahead and get it. Now overall, this car looks nice. I heard the rumors that they're having a 2024 refresh, so that we might see some styling updates. All right, so now let's hop in on the inside. And now a quick door sound check. It looks kind of average to me. It feels slightly heavy. I guess it looks okay. So door sound check, pass. All right, now getting on the inside of the 2023 Model 3 base version. Now, as you can see, they added this wood trim. I believe this is from like a 2022 or maybe 2021 model going forward. Now, overall looks pretty sturdy. I love this Alcantara, and then this addition, right, looks kind of nicer than before. Nothing creaks as such. I'll talk about some plastic quality there. Same steering wheel. Overall looks kind of fine to me. We heard some creaking noise from the panoramic roof, but then it kind of went away. This car only has 2,000 miles in it. I love all the cabbies in here. I'm not gonna do a review, just kind of a interior quality check. This panel to me looks the best in terms of the quality. It's a soft touch. The issue I'm having with this is this Tesla uses this plastic throughout, like you'll see it in the trunk and then the lower panels, and this is cheap. Like cheap. Look at this right here, how it moves, how it's not even secured. Like I can slide like a credit card there. Like if you guys need like a kind of a safety deposit box or something, you can slide in things in there and keep it in there, and it will be very safe. Otherwise, the upper trim looks fine. Like I said, nothing creaks, so I don't know how it's gonna stand, the time will show. I'm sure, I mean, it hasn't changed as much since 2017, but overall it's a nice place to be in. The seats are pretty comfortable. I'm going to talk about them. A lot of space in this cabbies here, so overall not bad. Now let's go ahead and drive it. All right, and first I'm going to drive Tesla Model 3 Base in the city. I'm going to put everything in the normal mode, standard acceleration, standard steering, and first let's floor it. All right, let's go. And it's pretty fast. The 0 to 60 time is around 5.7, 5.8 seconds, although it feels quite faster. Of course, it's not as fast, as lightning fast as like a dual motor or the performance version of this Tesla, but it's fairly quick because there's an instant response. And that's one thing about all electric cars, whether I'm driving Kia EV6, Hyundai, or Tesla, they feel about the same in terms of acceleration. What makes them different is steering and suspension. Now let's floor it again. All right. Yeah, it's not like lightning quick, when you floor in the dual motor, you just get that jerking, or if in the performance version, you really feel that immediate pickup. Here, there's a slight, not a delay. You can't even call it a delay, but the power delivery is more linear, more calm, although it's fairly quick still from the stop. Personally, I'm enjoying driving this car. I'm spending like a second day with it, and I'm pretty pleased driving this car. Now, seats are fairly comfortable. They're nicely cushioned, and they complement really well how suspension is set up in this car. And we're going to talk about suspension more. The first thing I want to talk about is steering. And steering in this car is unlike pretty much steering in most cars that I've driven before. The best way to describe the feel of the steering and this overall feel of this car is that this car is like a go-kart. If you ever been to like a, one of those MB2 racing events, go-karting, especially electric cars, well, this Model 3 feels exactly like that, with an instant pickup, braking, and then look at the steering. Look how responsive it is. I mean, it is incredibly responsive. It's incredibly flat, and I'm gonna take this car to canyon roads where I'm gonna talk exactly about the chassis, how safe this car is, how much performance this car has for the base model that I'm driving. One thing I'm super excited about in this car is that this is like a rear wheel drive model with only electric motor in the back. The lightest version, this car only weighs about 3,600 pounds, where let's say a dual motor kind of crosses a 4,000 pound mark. So I kind of like that this is on the lighter side. You can throw this car around very nicely. Sometimes in turns, like if I make a turn and start accelerating quickly, I'll even get a slight wheel spin. That's pretty cool actually. So the steering is very responsive. One thing I'm not 100% happy is brakes. They feel okay, but they're not like a strong BMW brakes. I kind of wish brakes were a little stronger. I know there's a lot of regenerative braking going on, and by the way, in this model, I could not find how to reduce the regeneration. Like in Google, it's I did a research. It says go to controls and go to driving and then set regeneration to low, but I haven't found any of these settings here. I only found some videos where you can go to service, enable like a service mode, and then pretty much turn off regeneration. That's obviously not something I want to do and create excessive heat on the brake pads. I just want to lower regeneration. Even though I like one pedal driving, I kind of wanted it for my wife so she could get a more feel of it like a normal car, not like an EV, but more like a normal car. Now, the biggest thing I want to talk about is suspension. That's one thing that makes all cars different, especially EVs, is how does suspension set up in a car. And in Tesla Model 3, suspension is on the firmer side. So the people who are coming from Camry, Lexus, Lincoln, Cadillac, type of a cars, they'll notice that this is a completely different experience. Although, while this car is firm, I'll call it sporty, suspension is still nicely damped. I'm gonna go ahead and drive it on bumpy road right now, and I'm gonna talk about it more in details. But suspension is nicely damped, where even though the shock travel is on a shorter side, there is still some nice damping, nice gliding, plus this cushioned seats and this 18-inch wheels, this aero wheels with 45 rubber, the size, they all together help to deliver this overall comfortable experience. It's not comfortable the level of where it's very well cushioned, but it's enough damped where it doesn't hit your head as much. Like, let's say I drove cars like Honda Civic recently on the channel. I also drove Kia EV, not EV6. Kia EV6 was actually much smoother than this. I drove cars like, let's say, Kia Soul, I'm thinking of. Like, those are complete rattle. Like, when you sit, you drive, especially on our 405 freeway, the rattle in your head so much. This is not like that. Even though it's firm, planted, this car feels very well damped, and that's what I liked about this Model 3. I think they also done a lot of improvement in terms of cabin insulation. Not I think, I know, I mean they've done that, and you can feel that. So overall experience as a driver is much better, even for this base version. And I've rented Teslas in the past. I've rented the Model 3 Performance twice, Model S, Model X, and now I'm finally driving the base version. And now here we are driving on a Tampa Avenue, my favorite beat up road. And like I said, it's pretty pleasant. I'm quite impressed that this car, being very sporty, I would say, firm, with short suspension travel, it's nicely damped. So while it's not a super comfy couch type cruiser, it is still nicely damped, so it's a good daily driver. So my point is, even if you're coming from Camry, you might still like it. So that's why exactly, go ahead and rent this car for a day, you know, spend a day driving it on city streets, highway, and canyon roads, and then you're gonna know if you'll fall in love with this car or not. I personally like it. I didn't have good impression from the performance version, maybe like 2018-19, but this base model, I'm certainly liking it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and jump inside local neighborhoods and kind of talk about what is it like, you know, living with this car in day-to-day life. All right, now I'm jumping inside the local neighborhoods. So for people buying this car, pre-ordering it online, what is it like driving it in day-to-day? You know, picking up your kids, you know, driving for your errands. Well, overall it's very easy to steer. The steering is very direct. On the other hand, you have 3 modes. You can obviously put it into like a comfort mode. That's what my wife personally liked. In comfort mode, it becomes lighter, noticeably lighter, and this will probably satisfy most people. Still weighted, very nicely weighted. Steering is kind of numb. Obviously, you're not getting a lot of feedback from the road. It feels like a, you know, like a game joystick, you know. But it's very easy to drive this car, and I'm in the one pedal driving mode, and it's very easy. Once you kind of get used to this, it's very easy to drive this car. This car is like I said, it's just like very flat. It's like sweeping on this road, like it's amazing. It's like glued, it's like attached to this road. It's like there's another magnet underneath this road that's pulling this car. That's how it feels. It's very much attached to this road. It's not like floating on the road. It's like a magnet moving on the road. It's like magnet moving over another magnet. That's how this car feels to drive. It's quite amazing. This car feels totally different. Yes, it's very easy to drive this car. Acceleration, brakes. The only complaint I would say, like I said, brakes. I wish brakes provided a little stronger feel. And that's exactly why some automakers, they kind of throttle it. They do some regeneration, but then past certain speed, they give you brake pads. Where Tesla tries mostly to do regen, although there is a setting, apply you know, brakes when regenerative braking is limited, so you can do all that. Very easy to, you know, drive around your local neighborhood, go for groceries. This car, like I said, is very easy to steer, very linear acceleration, and you can modulate all of that. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with this Tesla. One thing I can tell you, when you go for like a longer drive, you spend some time with it, you're gonna start falling in love with it, because it's unlike any other car, including any other electric car. Because most automakers, they try to go for a car-like feel in EVs, and I've seen that throughout pretty much driving most of the other cars that I drove. They kind of try to make it drive like a normal car, like a BMW i4, for example. That's the one I drove last. It felt like a 4 Series to me, very smooth, very comfortable. But Tesla, they keep things different. They keep things very engaging. They don't care, like, you know, driving enthusiast or not, you're gonna become one, because this is a driver's car. This is certainly a driver's car. But besides that, it has comfortable seats, it has enough room in the back for 4, maybe even 5 adults. So it's an easy car to live with. Now let's go ahead and drive it on the highway. All right, and now I'm merging highway. I'm gonna keep steering in standard mode and acceleration in a standard mode as well. And now let's floor it. All right, let's go. And that's one thing, is that it's very easy to merge the highway in this car. There's no gear shifting. It's just all one motion. All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is the car cabin insulation. And overall, cabin insulation has become much better. It's much better than it used to be. It used to be like in Prius, where you could pretty much hear everything everywhere. Now you can still hear the road, you can still hear cars around you, but it's still far better insulated. So it's pretty much gotten to the point where it's, you know, on par with competition. I haven't brought 3 Series on the channel, but I've, you know, driven in the past, and I'll say it's better insulated than this, but not far better. So they've done a pretty good job in this Model 3. The next thing I want to talk about is actually what's the level of the noise in the cabin. Driving at about 65. Let's go a little faster. 65, and that's reading. Let's go in a slow. 65, 67. It's about 66. Okay, 66. It's around 66, which is not bad. Not bad at all, actually, for this. And the next thing I want to talk about is, can you overtake cars on the freeway? And I just like to do this type of a test, but for EVs, I think I should stop doing it, because it is absolutely easy to overtake other cars on a highway. And finally, we want to talk about, let's do the autopilot thing. Is this car easy to travel with, right? Is this the car you can just make a road trip in? And the answer to that is yes. The only thing, of course, some people are a little more sensitive to the road, you know, like if you like bigger SUVs, then, you know, bigger cars or more cushioned cars, cars that, you know, have a more cushioned suspension, then you'll still be okay in this car, I would say. I don't know too much about the rear seats, but the front 2 seats, we rode with my wife. We spent some time yesterday driving this car, and we were okay. I'm pretty sure I can do, you know, I can go for a longer drive, you know, even from LA to San Francisco, just fine. One thing I can tell you though, since I don't have an EV personally, and this is pretty much just a second day living with the car, I do feel slight lightheadedness. I don't know where it's from. Maybe the fact that I've done a lot of, you know, different kind of driving, accelerating, braking, you know, canyon driving. So maybe all of that is just kind of settles in the head in a way that I feel it. But it's not something that would turn me off. I know in my first experience with like a Chevy Bolt, and that was just terrible, where I was like really feeling pukish. This is definitely not like that. So this is totally normal, and like I said, and this is a driver's car, guys. I mean, whether you're gonna use autopilot or you're gonna actually drive this car, it's fun. It's fun to be inside this cabin. It's fun to drive this car, as it stays so planted on the, whether it's a highway or city streets. It is so planted. It is so direct. I feel like I'm in a train. You know, I'm in a train and it's on the rail track. That's how it literally feels. Or there's like a huge magnet. Oh, the whole road is a magnet that's pulling me. That's pretty much how it feels. Now, this is pretty much how I want to conclude this video for now. I'm gonna go ahead and drive it for the second part on the canyon roads, where I'm gonna put this chassis to the test and kind of talk about some of the safety and performance aspects of this car. So make sure to subscribe to this video, hit the like button, and I'll catch you in the second part of the video.